Hello, everyone. Welcome to our West Coast Trail 2025 trip planning live stream number 3. I'm Mike Blake at MB Guiding, your Vancouver Island hiking guide. We're on Zoom, streaming to Facebook Live from the Sandwich Peninsula on southern Vancouver Island in beautiful British Columbia. Say hello in the Zoom chat or Facebook comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We'll get started right away. Hey, Cragen, right on from Salt Lake City. Welcome. Good to see you too. Hi, Diane. Welcome. Hey, Paul from Chilliwack. Back again. Thank you, Paul, for returning. Hi, Leah. Kamloops. Hi, Kim from Lumbee. Right on. Nooka Trail. Let's do it. WCT, JDF. Woohoo. Stack them in there. Hey, Catherine from Cowichan. Adam from Burnaby. Hey, you're welcome, Tara. Welcome back. Hey, Barry from Regina, Teresa from Calgary, Tyler from Kemptville, Colin, right on. Colin's back. Selfie smiley Colin. Good to see ya. Hey, Julie, welcome. South Dakota, right on. That's awesome. Welcome. Hey, Tammy, thanks for coming back. Glad you enjoy them. I love doing them. It's super duper fun. Hey, Jude from Salt Spring Island. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Squamish, Sunshine, Calgary, Cindy, welcome. Kitty from Sydney as well. Annie from Whitby, all right. Anna from Nelson. Hey, we got people from all over. This is awesome. How many people we got on here now? 42. All right, keep it coming, folks. Right on, Cragen. Woot, woot. Diane from Duncan. Hey, Angie from Sherwood. Trina from Winnipeg. Tammy from Winnipeg. Carol from Grand Prairie. Hey, this is great, folks. So yeah, we're on Facebook Live and in the Zoom room. If you got the link, come visit us in the Zoom room. We're streaming to both channels. If you haven't figured out how to find the link, there's 2 ways. You go into the event on Facebook and go to the discussion. The link is in the discussion. The other way to find the link to the Zoom is in our newsletters. So subscribe to our newsletters. Hey, right on, Amy. Welcome back. Hey, Kimberly from Oakville. Hey, Shelly. Woohoo, from Edmonton. Lots of familiar names in here. Folks that have been on our live streams before, folks that I've done trips with, folks that I've met on trips. This is awesome. Corinne from Vancouver. Hey, Jill. Welcome back. Awesome. Right on, folks. So yeah, give a thumbs up if sounds good, looks good. I just want to know that I'm coming across clear. Right on. Hey, Philip, welcome. Cool. Great, everyone. Well, thanks so much for coming. It's always fun to do these, and I'm going to show you how to plan the West Coast Trail like a pro. We want you to participate too, so ask lots of questions. The Zoom participants, ask your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom, and you can upvote the ones that you like. I'll go check those out throughout the live stream. And then the Facebook viewers, just post your comments. The questions, put a Q in front of them is helpful. A Q and a colon, that I can favorite them and filter them. Makes it easier. We usually get a lot of people just chatting about in there too. Hey, Michael, welcome from Vancouver. Hey, Amy. Sherry from Williams Lake. Hey, Susan, welcome back from Langford. Awesome. Okay, yeah, so you want to comment, you want to ask questions, because participation in the Q&A is going to be part of entering the prize giveaway. There's going to also be time for after the live stream concludes at 7 p.m. for the Zoom participants to hang out with me backstage and ask more questions. Zoom link is in the event discussion, or you received it in our latest newsletter if you're a subscriber. If you didn't, check it out. It's pretty fun. We've got lots of great content in there. We'll also follow up with our Facebook viewers for any questions that get missed or ones that are posted for anyone watching the replay. So there will be a replay available. Check that out. If you can share it out, if somebody misses this, let them know they can watch it on the replay. Okay, right on. Looks like we're up to 45. Okay, we sort of summed off there at 45. That's good. That's good. You can share this out, and let's get some more people on here. Right on. So let me tell you about the giveaway. We're going to give away 3 awesome prize packages today. So all 3 prize packages will include a copy of the 10th edition Blisters and Bliss, courtesy of Wayne Aiken, the author, my neighbor, just around the corner. They're signed copies, so you want one of those for sure. Also, West Coast Trail slug patch and sticker pack designed by Valerie Burton. So you remember these. You've probably seen those around, so we'll give away some of those in the pack. Got lots of goodies in here. I've got an assortment of leftover swag from Jesse and Michelle, and also we're going to crack a fun thing today, Christmas. We are going to crack the Christmas Advent calendar box that we had duplicates of stuff that we got in. And so those items are also going to go into the prize packs. And then the final thing is we've got a couple. These are our last round of these shirts. So these are a couple of the slug shirts. They're just going to be the sizes that we have. So we've got small. So yeah, if it doesn't fit you and you win it, you can give it away to somebody that's small. So yeah, lots of fun stuff to give away. I'm also going to give away a special personalized coaching session for each of the winners too, just like the ones that our clients get on guided trips. So if you're keen to win one of the guided trips, sorry, not those yet. I didn't give that away. We're not giving away guided trips yet. If you're keen to win one of the prize packages, hang out with us and be sure to participate in the Zoom chat or Facebook comments, and we'll share more details near the end of the giveaway, the end of the live stream. I got so many dings and whistles coming in here. I'm going to turn that off just one sec because people are coming in onto the Zoom and I got to turn that dinger off. It's throwing off my pitch here. Hey, Switch, right on. Welcome. Welcome back, Switch. Yeah, Sherry, you want a slug shirt for sure. Let's see if we can get the comments up on the screen here. Yeah, there we go. You definitely want a slug shirt. Yeah, so I've got 2 slug shirts. One's going to go to the Facebook group and one's going to go to the Zoom group. So last few times we've just been giving them to the Zoom group, but we didn't think that was fair. So we've got 2 shirts for the giveaway today. All right, let's get this going. So I'm just going to do a super quick intro here for those that don't know me. I'm Association Canadian Mountain Guide Certified Hiking Guide, living and working on Vancouver Island. It's my 30th season on Vancouver Island. You may know me through our MB Guiding website, mbguiding.ca, or maybe you've heard about our guided trips or workshops before. I've been backpacking for around 45 years and guiding for just over 20 of them. Let's go into the website and just show you a little bit about MB Guiding. So specialize in hiking and backpacking trips on Vancouver Island. A lot of coastal stuff, West Coast Trail, North Coast Trail, Nootka Trail, and then Strathcona Park for alpine hiking and backpacking. And then I do some trips in the Rockies. I'm also an instructor for the Interpretive Guides Association, so I teach risk management and group management for them, and that's out in the Rockies. And then I'm also a commercial bear viewing guide with the Commercial Bear Viewing Guides Association of British Columbia. We've also got a few other folks behind the scenes here. We've got my partner, Lara. She's our dedicated blog writer, and Lara's a big part of MB Guiding. She's been part of it since we started this incarnation of MB Guiding, so over 10 years. And she's our creative writer behind all of the online content. And she also holds the record for participating in the most MB Guiding trips and workshops. And Lara's probably hanging out in the chat there too, so you can say hi to her. Hey, Marita. Hey, from Regina. Awesome. Hey, Matt from Cochrane. Welcome. Yeah, there's Lara. Woohoo. Okay, there's some other folks behind the scenes here. Our repeat alumni. So we've got a great team of folks that come back year after year. And this year we've got folks coming back for their 3rd and 4th and 6th trips with us. So that's really awesome. We want to shout out to all of our repeat alumni and thanks for supporting us and coming back for more and more. And then also we couldn't do any of this without our family of partners. So we've got a great network of service providers. We work with several land managers to get all the permits to do all these trips. Different brands we work with, food companies, gear companies, digital tech companies. Lots of people help make this all happen. So we want to shout out to all of them as well. And you can go to our About page and see all of that there at mbguiding.ca. Hey, Jeff, welcome. Right on. Oh, sounds nice. He's in Punta Cana. Very nice. Great. Okay. Hey, Leah. Yeah, I've been working on it for a little while. Not so much the live streaming and this is newer to me, but the guiding, definitely a bit longer. Yeah, so just a reminder to participate, ask lots of questions. It's an interactive session. Again, the Zoomers go into Zoom and go down there to the Q&A and ask questions in there. I'll keep looking into the comments and questions section here to see what we get throughout the live stream. And the Facebook viewers, just drop them in the comments over there. Yeah, you're going to want to leave a comment or ask a question to enter the giveaway. That's going to be a part of it. And just a reminder, we're only accepting comments from personalized profiles. So no brand pages in there. They just start to spam up the system, and then we have to do extra work to get them out. Hey, Alina, welcome from Roslyn. Great, let's see how many we have on here now. 52, woohoo, yeah, I wanted to break the 50 mark. So we average on these live streams, the last few of them, we peaked just over 50, so we're hoping to bump that up and go a little bit further. So if you know anyone that's available right now, you can share out the link on Facebook. And yeah, stay tuned for the next ones as well. Hey, Gene, welcome. Awesome. Okay, folks, this is great. So this is a total freestyle trip planning session. It's going to be just me sharing resources with you and helping you plan trips like a pro, and then you asking me questions about that content. We're going to try to keep this focus of this particular session on assessing environmental conditions on the West Coast Trail and then choosing appropriate gear for those conditions. So our previous live stream sessions, we talked about route planning, and before that, we talked about logistics. This one, we're going to focus on environmental conditions and gear, and it'll probably tangent off into other things, but try to keep your questions on those topics. And if you missed our previous sessions, just head over to our Facebook page, go into the live videos section, and you should see a list of all our past live streams in there. They're going to get moved eventually, the ones on Facebook, because apparently Facebook is going to be deleting all new live streams after 30 days. And that's coming up soon. It's a new policy. So we're working on getting them onto another platform, and we'll keep you posted on that. Okay, let's get to it. We've got folks in the Zoom room. How many we got in there? Let's have a little look. Hey, right on. That's awesome. We've got a bunch of folks in there too. So that probably fills up that side. Great, everyone. Okay, so let's get to it. So I'm going to start off with sharing just a quick little review on how to plan the West Coast Trail. I'll just go over quick with logistics. We're going to assume at this point you've already got your permits. So besides going to the blogs, there's lots of different blogs. I'm showing you our blog because that's one we built. But all the information from most of the really good blogs, the data from it comes from Parks Canada's website. Parks Canada's done a really good job of collecting info to help people plan for the trip, and it's on this West Coast Trail Hike of a Lifetime website, web page. It's a collection of web pages, and it's in the Pacific Rim National Park Reserve website. Lots of things in here you should check out right off the top. These are important announcements for this season. Really important things here. When it's open, when it closes. You've already got your reservations, so we're going to skip over that. What lighthouse stations are being closed and why. And it explains all that in the links. Click on the links. It gives you a lot more information. So yeah, I'm just going to scroll through this. You got to go to this webpage if you're planning the West Coast Trail. It's mandatory. This tells you how to do the hike. Not only that, it tells you if the hike's not for you. So if you're wondering if you should do it or not, this page will break it down for you. There's some history in there. There's a ton of history on the West Coast Trail. There's a ton of history that goes way back thousands of years. The First Nations, there's 3 bands that are out there, the Hayuket, Tididat, and the Pichadat. They're villages. They've been established out there for thousands and thousands of years. So that's the land that we're walking across. Recently, there's very rich European history as well on top of that, just over the last couple of hundred years. So it's like a walk back in history, walking the trail. There's a little right up here on the history if you want to learn more about that. Planning the adventure. All the info is here on how to get your permits, how to make the reservations, when to make the reservations, pre-hike briefings, which used to be called orientation sessions. This is all in here. Ferry crossings, access points, equipment. That's what we're hitting today. So we want to get there. We've already done all this on the past live streams. So go back and check out those. Staying safe too. You want to stay safe. I'm going to throw in an emergency contact section in this as well today because we had some chitter chatter over the groups today. And I'm going to go over emergency contact because it ties into the gear. So that'll come out of that. So remind me if I haven't got there. And then there's all the transportation to and from the trail. So as you can see, there's a ton of info on this page. I highly recommend going there, learning about how to plan the trail to get you to the point where we're at right now, which is going to be we're hiking the trail. I'm hiking it in 30 days or less. I'm going May 1st. So I'm doing a recreational trip. I do it every year for the last 2 years. This will be my third. This time I'm going to go northbound. So starting May 1st, Gordon River opening day, and do a 3-nighter recon the trail for my 3 trips that are later in the season with guided trip clients. So I'm super excited about that. So I'm planning for that trip, and that's the example I'm going to use for this live stream. Just got a couple of beeps here. Let's just see what's going on here. There'll be a couple of pauses. I've got a few different screens here going on. Just give me 1 sec here. There we go. Oh, cool. I see the questions are already starting to come in. Hey, Jean. Welcome. Hey, Quinn from Saskatchewan. Kimberly, all ages trail. Absolutely. 56. Yeah, for sure. That's young. So I hiked the trail. I guided a trip in 2016, and it was a private trip for a couple of clients of ours that I'd done a trip with previous. And they were late 60s, and the whole week they thought they were the oldest and the slowest on the trail. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure I've seen people older than you on this trail over the time I've been here. And that hadn't been very long at that point because I've only been hiking it since 2015. Sure enough, a couple of days later, we came across a couple of gentlemen that were coming towards us, and they were like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And we started chatting, and they started talking, and it just came up that these guys were in their 80s, and they had been hiking the trail every year together for 20 years. So they started hiking the trail in their 60s, and they were in their 80s. So yeah, I think the 56 is good there. Yeah, Craig, and hooray for 56! You got it. That's awesome. Great question for about asking questions. Laddie or lady, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but the question is a great one. So if you're in the Facebook group, put a Q in front of the question and I can filter it and find it when I go look at the comments. It's easier for me to find instead of scrolling through them all. And then I'll favorite some and I'll answer those as we go. Ones that get missed, I'll answer later. If you're in the Zoom group, you can just put them in the Q&A. So as you think of them, put them in there and put a Q and a colon in front, and then I can filter all the comments for that and find your question. So great question about questions. Yeah, switch. All right, Leah, 58 and 63. That's right. Yep. Good ages. All right, the 80s group. Woohoo. Love it. Awesome. Okay, let's get back to trip planning. Okay, so you've already planned the trip to the point where now you're thinking about weather and environmental conditions. So that's where we're going. So if you go into our blog post, which is on the homepage, West Coast Trail, scroll down in the table of contents to where it says weather. Super simple here. There's a couple of things. These are the ones that work year round, but I'm going to show you something I'm working on with right now. But I'll show you 3 different weather resources that I use to plan around the environmental conditions. And this helps me plan my gear. So it's really important that you figure out what environmental conditions you're going to be experiencing before you plan your gear out. So let's look at this. This is called the Mountain Weather Forecast. This is now not listed on the blog just because it's in kind of a weird limbo state. It's an excellent weather resource, but it's only up for the winter, and they may take it down again for the summer. They did last summer, but it's a great way to learn about weather. So we'll use it as an example for learning. What I like about the Avalanche Canada weather forecast is it just is super simple to read and understand. They make it really point form. They don't use a lot of technical jargon here. So it's a great way to learn about reading weather. Gives you a synopsis and it breaks down day to day for general areas of Western Canada. So like BC Coast, BC Interior, and then Yukon. So we're interested in just BC Coast. So this is the weather that we're interested in right here when you're looking at this mountain weather forecast. Day 1 and 2, pretty darn accurate. Then you start to lose resolution accuracy going into day 3, 4, 5 to 7. Synopsis covers all of that. So it breaks it down here for you. What I like about this is it gives you an idea of how to read weather by reading the words, trying to figure it out, and then looking at the weather maps. And you're wondering, oh, what am I looking at? Well, just scroll over here, click on weather glossary, and this is a weather lesson on how to read weather. That's why I'm pointing out mountain weather forecast, because it's so valuable to learn about weather. It explains how to learn about weather. Lots of great pictures, lots of goodies in there. So I always look at the mountain weather the forecast year round when it's available. So in the winter it's up. In the summer, the last couple of years they took it down for some reason. I hope that comes back, but it's a great way to learn about weather. The other thing I look at is the marine weather. This is more to in short form, so it's only like looking at a short period out, and it's really short form. Like it's just giving you very basic information, but it's important because we are hiking along the coastline. It's a marine highway. Think of the trail as you're on a boat just offshore, off the beach. So you get the forecast. You're looking basically for wind direction and strength out of these. So typically, in the summer, the systems we're going to get maybe some southern wind flow, southeasterlies, and you may get a bit of cloud precipitation. But typically, when the wind's coming from the northwest, north, it's bringing in drier air, nicer weather. So look for that. Look for the strength of the wind because that's going to affect your sea state as well. So the wave height and the swell. You can also see there's little bits of tidbits in here on the right, which is the extended forecast. You see, it doesn't go out very far because they're smart enough to know that they can't forecast accurately out too far. So you're only getting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? It's only shooting out a few days. So what are we getting? We're getting like a 5-day forecast here. And it's super simple. As the further you get out, they're just giving you wind and direction and speed. But I would look at this a few days before your hike, and you'll get a pretty darn good idea of what the conditions are going to be like on the hike, just from this simple little page right here. And if there's any serious warnings, they'll be on here as well. So that is, let's just move that one over there. That's the marine weather. And then I'll do one more quick weather uh, look here on windy, and I'll dig into this in a moment. But this is the gold here. This is giving you precision weather for any location on the planet. I use this every day, all day. There's a web app, so it's a website, so it's on the what we're looking at right now on the desktop. But there's also a phone version, and it's free. The free version has lots of stuff on it, so lots of features. Let's go here to Pacific Rim National Park, West Coast Trail. So now you're looking at the phone version, and it gives you a really nice overlook here of what's happening close to where you're going. I highly recommend this resource. It is top line quality stuff here. I tend to trend on this European model. I find it most accurate for where I go along the coastlines in Vancouver Island. But there are 7 models in here now, 7 weather models that you can compare. And if you just click on the compare button, it'll bring them all up. So I can compare forecasts. Oh, look at how nice that looks on the West Coast Trail the next few days. What I'm doing here is I'm comparing trends. So I'm looking for trends between the weather models. If all the weather models agree that tomorrow at 5 p.m. it's going to be sunny, there's a high likelihood it's going to be sunny at 5 p.m. tomorrow. As I move down onto Sunday, we're losing resolution and accuracy because we're going into the future. But you also notice the weather models are starting to disagree a little bit. So then it becomes uncertain. So we're really getting good weather accuracy with our forecasting 1 to 2 days, and then it starts to diminish very quickly. Things can change so quick on the coast. So just realize that when you're asking what the weather's going to be like in July and August of 2025, we don't know. It's going to be hotter and drier than it is now, but we don't know if it's going to rain on your week or not. It rains less in July and August, but you might get all the rain in July and August on your week, and you just don't know who's on that week till you get there. So just be prepared for that. Picking July and August, you're increasing your chances of getting the warm, dry weather, but you may still get rain because it's a rainforest. Excellent resource here. I'm going to dig into this more if there's questions about it, but I'm going to pop on over to Q&A right away because that's what this is all about. And I'm going to see if this filter worked, if that idea worked here. So Q, hold on. Look at that. So here we go, folks. I've got a lineup of questions here from both the Facebook crew and from the Q&As from the Zoom. This is awesome. So some gear questions in the Zoom. So I'll get to those ones in a sec. I'm going to go with the weather questions first. So I'm going to save those questions over there. Gene, great question. Can you put the links to these weather sites in the chat? Yeah, so the links are all on our website, nbguiding.ca, but I will go back into the chat and answer these questions when I'm on the keyboard and I'm not doing the live, and I will put the links in for you. So yeah, great question. And that will come. Oh, great question here about weather from Jessica. Do you receive weather updates while on the trail? So I do. I've got a US Canadian cell plan and I get pretty decent reception at all the beaches along the trail. So because I'm guiding, I want the best weather forecast possible every day because I deliver it to the participants every morning. If they're lucky, they get 2 forecasts per day. So I'll do an evening and a morning. Just depends how good hikers they are. But the idea is that I am up to date with the best weather forecast for the guided trip. If I didn't have cell tower, I would use satellite and I'd get a more basic forecast through Garmin InReach, which will at least give me precipitation percentages. So POP, percentage of precipitation, the chance of it, amount of precipitation, wind direction, wind speed, cloud cover, things like that. So I can get weather forecasts from satellite if I didn't have internet connection. And finally, my favorite forecasting and the most accurate on the trail is called LATS, LATS. Look at the sky. That's the best weather forecast you're going to get on the West Coast Trail. So every night I go to bed, I look at the sky, I take a picture. I've got a little weather meter. It takes temperature, humidity, and air pressure. In the morning, I do the exact same thing, and I do my own weather forecasting just based on my own observations. And that's going to give you the most accurate weather forecast. All right, so that worked. I saw some questions come in, folks. Try that out. If you have any questions about weather, I'm going to save the gear questions. I'm putting them right now into the favorites. So Kim, about the sand pegs, I'll get to that one. Put your questions in there with a Q and a colon. Barry's asking about camping at Coolite. I'll save that one. Andrew's asking about hiking boots. That's a great gear question. And then I'll save Jean's and Jessica's. Yeah, so if you have any questions, pop them in there, folks. Q and a colon. Because I'm just going to do one more little short bit on weather, and then we're going to go into gear. Because I want to go into windy. I want to just show you some more fun stuff you can do with that, and then we'll get into the gear. So we're figuring out the environmental conditions for this trip. Let's use the example I'm going on this hiking trip tomorrow. So I can see the weather's awesome for the first few days here. So I'm looking at my windy forecast, either on my desktop at home or on my mobile app on the go. And I'm looking down here at the icons first. That's the first thing I look at is the icons to give me a general idea of what I'm seeing. I can also see if I can pick up some webcams in the area. So giving me current conditions. This is going to be LATS weather. This is look at the sky weather right here. Look at that. This is a webcam at Bamfield, which is right near the Pachena Bay trailhead. This is looking out over the water into the sound just outside of Bamfield. So this is excellent weather forecasting because you can see exactly what the sky state is, the sea state in the harbor at least. This is giving you a really good indication of the weather right now. This is super powerful stuff. What Windy does is it brings all these sources of data into one location for free. You can subscribe. I think it's like $20 a year. If you want to have 1 hour forecast instead of 3 hour forecasts. But I mean, for basic weather forecasting use, the free version works really well. I think the paid version, the $20 a year version, also gives you a longer range. But remember, that range, the accuracy diminishes, so it's not all that useful. It'll give you ideas of trends, but it's not going to give you precision weather. Unless you get into like a long settled high ridge, like in the summer we get sometimes where it's like 2 weeks, it says it's sunny, but then don't forget you're on the coast at sea level, it could be foggy all those days and it feels like it's raining. So even though it's blue sky above you, you feel like you're in the rain. So I'm leaving on my hike tomorrow. It's going to be sunny all day Thursday, all day Friday. Beautiful weather, perfect hiking temperatures. I wish the trail was open right now. Because even Saturday looks good. We could do the trail in 3 nights and get out before the next system comes in. You'll see it there. The precipitation builds, the wind builds, the color changes here on the wind. It's getting stronger wind here from the southeast. See how that southeast wind at that high gusts of, what is it, 60 kilometers per hour, sustained 30 from the southeast, and look at all that precipitation that's coming in with it. So that just proves that that southerly direction of wind coming from the south-southeast gives you the wet, windy weather. Whereas that north-northwest is, giving you this nice clear weather. There you go. So watch those wind directions and speeds and the sky state, and you'll get a really good indicator of weather. So I'm looking ahead here. It's going to be dry for the first few days of my trip. If I do a short trip, I get out before the rain comes, but probably not if I do a longer trip. So I'm going to need sun gear and rain gear. So I'm packing for both. That's how I do my environmental assessment. Be prepared for everything. If I'm there for 7 days, I'm going to bring the gear for 7 days. Expect rain on the trail at this time of year for sure. The satellite layer I'm using right now is cool. So there's all these different layers here. This is a new one. It's called Radar Plus. And what it does is it combines the radar layer, which is where you're seeing the precipitation, which is a bounce from the radar, with the satellite layer. So from a satellite with the cloud cover, which is super cool. It combines the both. It's called Radar Plus. There's a ton more stuff you can do here with Windy. And so I just suggest you play around with it. Go to the website, press on the buttons and see what they do before you buy any subscription. Most people don't need the subscription, but if you want more accurate, like hourly forecast versus 3 hours, then that's what you'd do. Or if you want the long range. Yeah, look how this pattern gets really unsettled now going into next week, and you get round after round. We're going back into that unsettled spring weather where it's rain one day, maybe a break the next day, rain the next day, a break the next day. And this makes for really wet hiking on the West Coast Trail. So we're hoping that we go back into that nice dry pattern just before we start the trail on May 1st. And it sticks. The last two May 1st starts, we've had the dry pattern to start, and it was epic. It was like dry conditions like midsummer. It was unbelievable. So I don't know if 3 times I could pull it off, but I'll let you know on May 4th. Okay, let's go to the Q&A here. See what we got, and then we'll go into the gear questions. Tarps, yeah, right on. We'll talk about that. Great stuff here. Just looking through. Diane, great question. So all of our West Coast trail trips go unless the trail's closed. The trail's only closed if it's unsafe. So if Parks Canada closes the trail and it's unsafe, then we can't go on the trail. We've never had to do that. Great question. I've heard of it being closed though. Luckily, we weren't on it. Okay, so this is great segue into gear because it looks like there's a lot of questions about gear. So let's spend the next half hour, so the second half of the live stream, on gear and how our weather forecast affects our gear choices. And for folks that are just joining us, I'm Mike Blake at MB Guiding. We're doing a live stream. This is trip planning session number 3 for the West Coast Trail 2025. We've got a Zoom room with a few folks in there asking questions, and we got you folks on Facebook. How many people do we have total now? 49. So yeah, we're hovering around that 50 mark. And this will be on a replay on the Facebook channel. So if you want to catch the replay, or if you're watching the replay, feel free to ask questions when you're watching the recording. Because yeah, it all ties into the giveaway, which happens at the end of the live stream, the announcement. But the actual giveaway doesn't happen until tomorrow, 24 hours. So let's get into the gear questions. And just give me some thumbs up if you're enjoying this so far. If the format's working for you. All right. Right on, folks. Great. Okay, so let's go into this question from Kim, which is a question about tarp. So the question is actually 2 parts, so I can't bring it onto the screen, it won't fit. The first part is whether is a tarp a must, cheapest and lightest option with grommets, or is there some decent foresights? So the tarp question is super common. I always bring an ultralight small tarp for emergencies, always. So day hiking, multi-days, every trip. It's just part of my kit. For the West Coast Trail, if I saw a wet forecast, like if it was going to rain for the whole week, I'm going to bring another really big emergency tarp for the group. But we would recommend if it's going to rain for the whole week that each tent group, so in our group, so each tent pod, whether it's a couple or a single, or a family, would have their own tarp to create a porch over their tent just to make life so much easier. So if the forecast says lots of rain, then I highly recommend a tarp. And I always have an emergency tarp. The second one of that question is about footwear. Cushier boots. Yeah, so wear the most comfortable shoes that you're used to hiking in rough terrain with the pack you're going to wear for the trail. you got to think about it in advance. So the West Coast Trail isn't for first timers. So you're going to figure out what shoes or boots work for you before you hike the West Coast Trail. So in all your practice hikes and multi-day trips before you do the West Coast Trail, you're going to know exactly what shoes to wear. Some people like like shoes, low drop or no drop. Some people like the high shoes, like the Hokas. You got to figure out what works best for you. I like my trail shoes. They're Arc'teryx mid cuts. They're a trail shoe, so not a trail runner and not a hiking boot. They're in between. I love them. I go non Gore-Tex. They dry easy. They fit great. I get pair after pair after pair because I love them so much. Great question. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back up to the top of the gear questions because it looks like we're mostly getting gear questions, which is awesome because we're in the gear section. Let me just top up my. I'm drinking Stormwatch tea from Murchie's, and it's awesome. I drank. You might be able to tell I've drank in 2 pots through the last 3 meetings, so that's what's keeping me standing here. It's good tea. All right, Barry. Barry's up first. So this is what was great about doing that Q colon because now I've got all the questions in the order they came in. And Barry is asking about Coolite, so we'll throw that one in there because he's been waiting the longest. Camping at Coolite is hit and miss this year, particularly because the creek is washed out and the trail is gone to access it. So you have to access it through the creek bed safely to get there safely and to get out safely. So you definitely don't want to stay there if there's going to be lots of water in the creek. So if there's this incoming precipitation and it's dry when you get there, prepare to have problems. So I wouldn't go there if it's raining. That's my take on that. You'll have to just watch the weather, Barry, just to see if it dries out by August. If we have a really dry year, then time it with your trip with a dry trip, and then you can walk in and out of there. I'd get there early, though. There's probably going to be some other people on that week trying to do the same thing. It's a really popular site when it's accessible. Okay, so we snuck in a question about logistics. So that was for Barry. Let's go with Kim here asking about sand pegs. Are sand pegs necessary for tents? I'm using a Durston 2-person tent. Yes, I use the Durston 2-person tent. No, sand pegs are not necessary. Just regular pegs. Totally fine on the West Coast Trail. You're going to be camping on sand, dirt, different surfaces. So use the same pegs you use all the time. Just weigh them down with something. So use a rock or a piece of driftwood when they're in the soft surfaces. And if they're in a hard surface, like dirt, you just bang them in there. They're not going to get pulled out. I don't take sand pegs. I take regular pegs. Great question. This is excellent questions here. Andrew, great question. Hiking boots with gaiters or hiking shoes? Personally, now, after doing this for a long time, and knowing the terrain and knowing the conditions, I'm all about lightweight trail shoes, which are in between trail runners and hiking boots. And that's what works for me. So what works for everybody else could be totally different. You have to figure out what works for you by doing trips beforehand. Great rest of the question here. So non-waterproof for me. I have been experimenting with waterproof socks, which I love. They're seal skins. I take them on wet trips and they work perfect because I can get my shoe soaked, have my sock on the inside dry, and then it's easier to dry the shoe at camp, even in inclement weather, because it dries easier the shoe without a membrane stuck to it. You can take the sock out, the waterproof sock, dry it separately than the shoe. Highly recommend that system. It works really, really well. So my shoes are very fast drying with that system. Great question. See how this is working? We're like using the weather forecast of the dry beginning of the week to the wet end of the week to predict what conditions we're going to experience, and then we can decide on what gear. We talked about putting the links in for Gene. For sure, we can do that. And weather updates, we'll scroll past that. Great question about tide tables. Let's throw this one in there because it is kind of has to do with environmental conditions. So I just noticed our participant jumped just up a bit there. Welcome, folks that just joined us. We're doing some fun Q&A now on gear. If you missed the first part, catch the replay and stick around for the giveaway. Tyler's asking, when planning our trip at the beginning of the year, how accurate are the tide tables? 5 months ahead of the trip. Accurate. So I predict tides, a year plus in advance. The tide charts, it's an algorithm. It gets updated by the actual, so there's predictions and then there's the actual measurements, and it all works itself out over time that the information you're getting on the tide charts from Environment Canada are excellent. I plan my trips around them over a year in advance, and they're bang on all the time. And then in the field, I use apps like iTides, or of course, West Coast Trail app is using the exact same info from the tide charts. It's the Tofino tide chart. I think it's 08615, if I remember correctly. Let's just pop over to the website here. There it is, tide section. 08615. That's the tide chart that you want to use. This is the tide chart that I'm using to plan trips for next year. When it pops up here, I'll go back to it. It's just taking a little while to load. But yeah, the tide charts are accurate. Oh, there it comes. More than 5 months ahead. Let's experiment with that. Let's go look right now at the Tofino tide chart, and let's say we want to go on a trip next year. So I just did this the other day. I want to go July 1st, let's say. So I put in July 1st, 2026. I submit. So there's tides for July of 2026. So that's a year plus in advance. These tide numbers are going to be very close. These predictions are very accurate. So to answer your question, yes, that's what I do every year. I plan my trips a year plus in advance based on the tide predictions. So I want the low morning tides with the most extreme difference. So I want new moon or full moon. So every 2 weeks, and I want to be hiking out of camp into a lowering tide. That's what I like. That's my personal favorite. Okay, this is rolling along pretty good, folks. We've got about 20 minutes here of Q&A to go through, and it looks like they're just stacking right up. So this is awesome. Switch is next. Do you wear waterproof trail shoes, boots or not? Answered that one, and I think I talked to you about this a few times on the trail when I saw you uh, at Cape Scott. We talked footwear, but yes, non-waterproof trail shoes with a waterproof sock if there's rain in the forecast. Hopefully we'll see you out there again, Switch. That was the last time I saw you, you were glamping up on San Josef there with all the kit, the whole trailer full of gear. That was awesome. We were backpacking in there. I think we just finished the North Coast Trail when I passed you out there. That was fun. It's great seeing all the folks that are on these streams and just on the trail and in our community around. It's great. I bump into people all the time. It's so much fun. So I answered that one and that one. I'm scrolling down. Okay, Switch. So this one here, I don't think I've talked to you about this. This is Switch. Do you prefer using a plastic bag inside your pack or outside cover from rain, or using both? Neither. So I'm using waterproof backpacks now that are roll top. So this is a Durston. Oh, I've snuck in my umbrella. This is for day hiking. So this is my day hiking pack. I just came back from a day hiking weekend. And it's a roll top. This material is waterproof. So there's no need for a liner or a cover. Dyneema, a couple of different materials, Ultra fabrics. A lot of them are waterproof. With a roll top, as long as you don't go underwater, stuff's going to stay dry in there. And of course, if there's not water leaking inside it. Also, for critical items in the pack, they are also in a waterproof container or stuff sack. But I don't use a plastic bag or a rain cover, but I'd recommend it if you don't have a waterproof pack, one or the other. Or if it's going to be a monsoon for a week, I would recommend both. And you could go with a garbage bag. There's like ultralight bags you can buy from the gear shops. It all works. And a pack cover, I think a pack cover when it's really nasty out helps because it keeps the outside of your pack dry. So if you have a non-waterproof pack, the outside pack cover will keep it waterproof so your pack doesn't get heavier as it gets saturated with water. So that's a good tip right there for you. Depends. Great questions. Laddie, mice are a problem. Keep your food away from the mice. That's probably the biggest pest out there. There's mice at all the camps. They are smart. Any open food source, they know how to get it from you. They'll chew through your tent if you leave it in there. I'm more concerned about the mice than any other critter on the trail. So just keep your stuff out of sight of the mice. Keep it in the food locker. Yeah, there's food lockers at all the established campsites, and you can just put your food in a stuff sack and then put in the food locker. Just make sure it's identifiable stuff sack, because lots of people on the trail, lots of just the same stuff sack. You want to be able to find it in the morning. And there's also poles at some of the camps, so I use those. I find them really handy because you can just use a line and pull your bag up, and then it's not in the food cache with everybody else's. It's much easier to retrieve in the morning. Great questions. Shelly. Hey, Shelly. Great to see you on the live. So yeah, I use a Garmin InReach. I'm using a Messenger right now. That's my main tracking device, communication device, and SOS device if there was a critical emergency. And then I have a backup satellite communication device. I use my iPhone, which has satellite communication in case of emergency. And then on the West Coast Trail, as I mentioned before, there's cell towers at all the beaches, pretty much, depending on what service you're with. But in the forest, just know that in the forest and in the canyons, there isn't any in most places. So you can't depend on it. So yeah, let's talk quickly about, because I mentioned I do this. Let's talk about this. This is the Parks Canada Calling for Help pamphlet they give you with your permit and your map when you go to the orientation. It explains what devices they recommend. So these are the Parks Canada recommendations right here. You'll see cell phone is one of them. Handheld VHF, which I don't use because I'm not a mariner. And then tracking device, this is a Spot, but it's the same technology as an InReach or a Zoleo. And then what Parks wants you to do is contact this number. So this is the emergency number for Parks Canada on the Pacific Rim National Park Reserve. If there was an emergency, no texting. You want to call with a phone to call the number. So you need a phone to call, a cell phone or a satellite phone. So a tracker InReach won't call this number and you can't text it. So what you'd want to do if it's not critical, you could have somebody that's off trail. So like in my instance, I have somebody at the base camp, Lara, when I'm on trail or she's in cell range, I could text her from the InReach and she could call Parks and say we have a non-urgent incident that needs to be tended to. The last thing you can do is pass a note on the trail. So this is the emergency form. You'd fill this out if there was an emergency, if you didn't have any of these devices, and you would pass this along the trail, and eventually you'll get to someone with a radio and they'll call the visitor safety team, and eventually you'll get help. There's 7,500 people on the trail every year. So July and August, it's mostly you're going to see people every day, but I've been on the trail in the shoulder seasons, May particularly, and not seeing anybody all day. So there's a couple of times when I've been at camp. Actually, last year, Jesse and I hiked the trail together, and we were at Walbran, and we didn't see anybody there. So yeah, you want a good way to communicate with the outside world besides just passing a note. But that all this will come to you when you go to the orientation, and you can read up on the safety plan on the Parks Canada website, which I showed earlier. If you scroll up here to hiker primer and pre-hike briefings, it talks about it in there a bit, what's going on with all that, the safety side. And then also here, making a trip plan. So leaving a trip with somebody else who's not on the trail. And then having a safe, enjoyable trip, some things to do in order to avoid incidents. So preparation's key here. That's the big part of trip planning, is getting prepared and knowing what could happen and being prepared for it. And then how to contact help in emergency. There's a whole post on this on the Parks Canada website that explains it in very great detail. So it tells you exactly what to do. So this goes back to reading all that content ahead of time so you know what to do in case you have an incident. So to answer the question, that was the long way, Shelly, InReach. Yes, and a backup. Oh, that's a good question about gear. So Tyler's asking, is there any risk of your tent not fitting at a campsite? Yeah, if your tent is like an 8-person and you're squeezing into Thrasher on a busy night, good luck. You might get lucky with one site if you can find it. But yeah, Thrasher is probably the biggest problem for squeezing tents in on busy days. Other than that, most of the beach camping are on pretty long stretches of beach. So like Michigan, Darling, Tuscawis, Susiat, Well, cribs, especially cribs. There's lots of space along the beach. I find, and Wallbrand, lots of space there too. As you get into the camps that are in the forest more, like Camper and Thrasher, then there's less space. Yeah, so Coolite, Lara's saying too. She just said that Coolite's a bit tight. Yeah, there's only spots for a few tents in Coolite. Yeah, so if you're picking one of those sites that have, tight spots, so Thrasher, Coolite, and Camper. Well, it's actually Thrasher, Camper, Coolite if you're going that way. Yeah, you might not find a spot, but on all the other long beaches, you'll find a spot for sure. I find people on the trail tend to like really conglomerate in what I call downtown, which is where the food cache and the outhouses all, and everyone just tends to just put their tents all in one spot. But if you look down the beach, there's like lots of great rural property out there if you don't mind camping a little bit away from folks. And if you like to have, more solitude, that's where I recommend going. Great questions. I've got about 5 more minutes of questions, folks. So I've just been going through the Q colon one. So any ones that didn't come into that, and I'm only halfway through. So there's at least another 10 questions here. So I probably won't get through all those ones. And I'm not even sure I haven't even looked in the comments at all. So what I'm going to do is come back through the questions after dinner. Question from Amy. I just saw it. Umbrella. I started using it for day hiking, but I find there's the wind predictability on the West Coast Trail. It's just it's mostly if it's raining, it's windy, so I don't think the umbrella would do me any good. But for day hiking and for desert hiking, it's awesome. I just saw that question pop up. I was talking. But let's keep going here in order because I want to give people priority here that were asked first, and then I'll work through the rest of them later. Chelly, yeah. So we're figuring out Nootka and North Coast Trail live streams right now. We're just trying to fit it in our schedule and also with the timing of the season. So I'm waiting to hear when season openings are and waiting to hear back from recreational sites and Trails BC about Nootka, the updates for this year. Once I get that info, same with Juan de Fuca Trail. Once I get the info, then I'll do the trip planning for it. So I'm waiting on the land managers for those ones. But yeah, it'll come soon. I did a poll a while ago and it seemed there was quite a bit of interest. So yeah, you'll see it again like the last couple of years, at least one of each. So North Coast Trail, Nootka Trail, and Juan de Fuca Trail. I'm just waiting to hear even when or if Juan de Fuca is going to open when they usually do by Victoria Day. Great question, Kathy, about hammock camping. So there are lots of trees, and I've seen people hammock camping, and you just got to figure out where to go. Just know that you're not supposed to break off branches off the trees. So yeah, you got to work with what's there. But yeah, there's places to hammock camp in the trees, especially the campsites that are more but in the forest. You just got to get there early and find the best spot. Because I know you hammock campers are very, very particular about exactly what types of trees you like to hang on. But yeah, I've seen hammock campers out there and they had no problem. Just to keep iterating, because this one's come up a few times, I use non-Gore-Tex footwear. First, that's my personal favorite just because it dries easier. And then the socks I use are the sealskins. And I'll link all that afterwards. Jude's asking about water filters. So my favorite system, let's go pop over to my gear list because we didn't do that yet. And I'll share this link later. So go to the link I share later. This is my Lighter Pack list. I highly recommend trying out Lighter Pack. It's a free app, web app. And there's a new thing I found. You can take your Lighter Pack list. I just found this out. And you can put it into Pack Lite. So you can import your Lighter Pack list from the URL. So you can create your Lighter Pack list, import it into Pack Lite, then you have Lighter Pack on your phone and it turns it into a checklist, which is super cool for packing and making sure everything's in your bag. So I'll throw that one out at you too. And that's another free app. I'll link all this stuff afterwards after dinner time. But yeah, scroll down here. What were we talking about? Water filters. Scroll down into my gear list. I'll link that out after. Scroll down to kitchen. Yeah. So go into kitchen and you'll see my kitchen items here. That's where my water system is. So my water bottle, I'm just using a smart bottle. Depending on the trip, I'll bring a 700 or a 1 liter. I rarely go over 1 liter for my carry bottle. And then I have a Platypus Quick Draw water filter. If you click on the links in my list, it'll take you to the manufacturer's website. So I don't link out to any other sites. I go right to the manufacturer and it's not affiliated. There's no I don't get a cut of this. So I'm just sharing what I have. This is what I use. This is super light, super easy. Love this system. You can use it as a squeeze filter like this, or as a gravity filter. It's perfect. It's a great system. Go onto our website, or in our trip reports, you'll see me using it, but also on our Instagram and Facebook, you'll see it there too. It's a great system. And then for my big bag, because I use a big bag too, the squeeze bag, I use this. This is my favorite, a CNOC. Just all the smart water bottles and most pop bottles. Let's get rid of that. Most pop bottles have a 28 millimeter thread. It's the same with Sawyer. All the same filters, same threads. They're all interchangeable. It fits on a smart water bottle. It fits on the other end of it, fits on the CNOC squeeze bottle. You just put the stuff in there and squeeze it through. Or you can just hang it on a tree and put it as a gravity feed and just let it drip through. It's a great system. Highly recommend it. Great question. Let's go back over here. Let's go do one more here, and then we got to cut this out here. Okay, let's finish. Okay, I'll jump in on the weather on September. September can be amazing. Just depends on how the season goes, but it can be really, really good. Cooler temps, less people. Condition update for the rungs missing. So Parks is always fixing the rungs. So if you notice rungs are missing, take a photo of them and let them know when you come off the trail, when you check out, let them know where it was, and that helps them fix them. And somebody might break one right after you tell them that they fixed that one, and just know it's always being fixed, always, since the trail started, since the very, very, very beginning. There's always maintenance going on 24/7 during the season. There's always a crew out there. Each of the First Nations bands has their own trail crew for their 25-kilometer section, and they're out there all the time doing work. And say thank you, say hello and thank you when you see them, because they do an awesome job. All right, folks. Great one from Craig in there. I flush it as much as I can. I shake it after, like, pretty much while I'm using it. It keeps it nice and clean, and then I flush it at the end of the season. If it's not too clogged up with tannins, and when I flush it at the end of the season, I'll try to reuse it for the beginning of the next season. But typically, I end up using a new one for the next season pretty quick. And they're $50, so $50 a year for a water filter for my use. I'm using it, 100 days. It works out pretty good. Great question. Widow makers at campsites. Yeah, watch out for those. The 5 W's of campsite selection: weather, wildlife, waste, water, and widow makers. Make sure all those are checked off. Either you got them or you don't want them. Great question, Tara. Thank you. And then finally here, Susan. Short gaiters, long gaiters. So I'm with mid-cut shoes. So I use a shorty gaiter. The only time I use long gaiters is if I'm using a heavier duty boot, which would be in like really mountainous terrain with a heavy pack, where I need that extra oomph and a bigger tread. But for the West Coast Trail, for me, with a lightweight pack and the conditions that I'm hiking in, and with my practicing with them, mid-cut, non-waterproof, short gaiters. All right, folks, and that's going to segue me off here. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm just going to see what we got here next on the go. Yeah, so we got to start wrapping up the live stream here. We got to give away the awesome prize packages. So just a reminder, the Zoom participants, stick around. I'm going to be finishing up the live stream, and then I'll come back into the Zoom room and we'll do some more bonus giveaways in there. So I just shared a ton of info with you. Hopefully some of it was valuable and will help you plan a safe, fun, and successful trips on the West Coast Trail in 2025 and beyond. Check out our website, mbguiding.ca. I showed that a few times there, mbguiding.ca, so mikeblakeguiding.ca, and it helps you plan trips. There's lots of instructions on there. If you're keen to join us on an adventure, check out our upcoming guided trips, workshops. We've got lots going on this season. I would love to see you on the trails with us. So now it's time for the giveaway. Let's go. Boom, Blisters and Bliss, 3 of these, so 3 prize packages. Slug patches and slug stickers, the magic box from Jesse and Michelle from Christmas. We've got extra stuff in there because we've got duplicates. We'll throw some of that in there. And then we're going to give one of these t-shirts. These are the last 2 we have, the slug t-shirts. One's going to go to the Facebook group, the Facebook attendees on Facebook here right now. And the other's going to go into the Zoom group. So lots of goodies there. Okay, so listen up if you're here now or if you're watching the replay. This is how you're going to do it. Let me just make sure I got the right page up here. Okay. So I want to give you the instructions clear and concise in case you're following along here. Okay. So first, you had to have participated in the Facebook chat or the Zoom chat. So that's first. Second, go to our MB Guiding website and you can click on the menu, go to Contact. It opens up the Contact page. Or you could scroll to the bottom of the website and click on Contact. Either way, it's going to get you to mbguiding.ca/contact. So there's no rush here. I'm not doing the draw till tomorrow at the same time. So you have 24 hours to do this. So if you're watching the replay, you've got 24 hours to do this from right now, which is 7 p.m. on April 2nd, 7 p.m. Pacific time. So you're going to go to the contact form. You're going to scroll down. You're going to put in your first name, your last name, your email address. In the subject line, put live stream giveaway. Live stream giveaway. Make use of the message section to ask me a question or say hello or ask me some question about gear or weather or trip planning. Make use of that because I try to get back to all those questions. Then you're going to have to agree to receive communications and then send. Just know you can unsend it afterwards. So if you win or don't win, you can easily stop the mail. Just know that. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Contact form, first name, last name, email. The subject line is live stream giveaway. Message, put a question in there or a comment, say hello, and then press send. So the third thing I'm going to do is tomorrow evening around 7 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to use a random picker to pick the winners. And I'm going to pick 3 winners. And 3 of those winners, the first one that gets picked from the Facebook group and the first one that gets picked for the Zoom group, so hopefully there'll be one of each. If there's not, I'm going to figure it out. So there is. At least both groups get the chance at the t-shirt. Okay, so 2 people are going to get a grand prize, let's say, but we're going to split it between the 2 groups. So good luck, everyone. If you missed what I just said, watch the replay because I think I explained it pretty good there. Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Let's just get this track going because we had this fun little music we started with at the beginning. I don't know if you caught that, but it was Deo. It's just a fun Epidemic soundtrack. Okay, we got some Deo music in the back here. So thanks so much. We're planning out our 2025 live stream schedule and would love it if you could come comment on what you'd like us to do next. So more trip planning sessions, Q&A sessions, live trip reports, other trips besides WCT. Just let us know what you're interested in. Post in the chat in the comments and then watch our socials. So like Instagram, Facebook, see what events are coming up, check them all out. If you like the live stream, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you want more and share this out to people that missed it. That's all for now, folks. Thanks so much for joining us and we'll see you on the next one. Cheerio.